Hey everyone, welcome to STEAM, Ada Community Library virtual program. It is September 14th. This is our first one of the fall season and I'm super excited to get started. Welcome, I'm Miss Jess. Are you excited for a fun learning session? I hope so, this is going to be cool. Today's STEAM lesson is String of Stalactites. Whoa. Before we begin, make sure you have the following ingredients and supplies before we start. 2 pint-sized mason jars, a piece of yarn about 4 feet long, scissors, 2 bendy straws, skewer or pipe cleaner, hot tap water, baking soda about half a cup, spoon or other stirrer, bowl for drips, food coloring which is optional, and a pipette which is also optional. What are stalactites? In certain caves, water flows through soft rocks such as limestones and carries away dissolved minerals. As the mineralized water drips from the ceiling, it creates an icicle-like column of minerals and crystals. The world's largest stalactite is more than 25 feet long. Most known stalactites are hundreds of thousands years old. Alright, so let's move on. Step 1, you're going to prep your string. So you got to fold your yarn in half and twist it together and make it into one thick strand. Next, you're going to cut the bendable elbows from the straws, leaving about 1 inch of the straight part on each end. Then we'll thread the straws on the yarn using a skewer or pipe cleaner to push the yarn through. This might take a little bit of time, so just be patient. Here's a tip, make sure your straws aren't too long. If they hang out of the jars too far, you will have too much slack. So it might just be a good idea after you cut your straw just to kind of put it in your jar and see where it's gonna end up. Alright. Step 2, fill your jars. Fill the jars about 2/3 full with hot tap water. Spoon in baking soda, a tablespoon at a time to each jar to dissolve it. Keep adding baking soda and stirring it until the powder no longer dissolves and instead starts to gather on the bottom of the jar. It should take about 3 to 5 tablespoons for each jar. Maybe more, just depends on how big a jar you're going to use. I recommend using the pint-sized ones, but if you have the bigger ones, you might need more. And voila, you've created a saturated solution. Add a few drops of food coloring to each jar if you want. I did purple on one side and I did orange on the other one to see how it would turn out. Alright, step 3, you're going to set up your jars. Set up the jars as shown with a drip bowl in between them. Remember, the crystals are very delicate and will fall easily if jostled, so set up your experiments in a place where you can leave it for several days. I actually had to start this over because my cat got to it, so learn from my mistake and make sure you put it somewhere safe. And as you can see from the picture, the straw holds the yarn in place, so that's kind of how you want it to look. And this is day 1 of my experiment, so we are just getting started on this picture. Step 4, soak the yarn. Soak the yarn in the solution, making sure it's wet all the way through the straws. You can kind of see it at the bottom in the straw. Alright, hang it between the jars using the elbows to keep the yarn centered. This is what the crystals look like on day 2. The ends of the yarn must be lower than the level of the solution in the jars, forming a drip point, and this is day 3. Optional, you can use a pipette. If you feel like your yarn isn't getting enough moisture, use a pipette, squeeze some of the solution out of the jar, not too much, and carefully drip the solution onto your string. Only use a few drops per section, otherwise it's going to clump up and it might get too heavy for the string or the yarn. And don't do it during the first couple days. Give the yarn a chance to get moist from the solution in the jars first. So here's what to watch for. The solution should start dripping in the bowl right away. You'll be able to see crystals form after a day or so. Over the next few days, observe how much they grow. When the bowl gets full, carefully pour the solution evenly back into the jars. And this is day 4, so you can definitely tell they're starting to form, especially on the orange side. And what's going on? Baking soda, or sodium bicarbonate, it's a hard word to say, is a crystal, meaning it forms in a distinctive shape. As the solution of dissolved baking soda moves through the yarn, thanks to the capillary action, the water evaporates, forcing the baking soda to form again as a solid, process called crystallization. And this is day 5, so got really big crystals on the right side there. And that's it. So that's everything you need to know about it. This is my final day on the crystals. This is day 6. The purple side started to get kind of puffy and it looks pretty cool. The orange side just really took off. It was amazing to watch. And if you guys have questions, email me at jmcpherson@adalib.org if you have run into any problems or you want to show me a picture of your finished material. So thanks so much for attending. Make sure to come back next week for another STEAM activity here at Ada Community Libraries. Bye!